may not always be easy to switch back and forth between Medigap and Medicare Advantage. But here to talk with us about that is J.O., author of Maximize Your Medicare. Jay, where to begin with this topic about switching back and forth between a Medigap plan and a Medicare Advantage plan?
It's a question that I get frequently asked, Bob. And the reason is that people, when they begin on Medicare, they may not necessarily fully understand the ramifications of the choices they originally select. Generally speaking, you are entitled to automatic acceptance under Medigap open enrollment rules, which formally begins on the day that your Part B coverage begins. It ends after 6 months. At any point in time there, you can enroll in a Medigap plan without medical underwriting questions. From that point, however, the control goes to insurance carriers, meaning that they have the right to ask you what they want. They have the right to deny your application if you don't meet their criteria that they are solely responsible for creating. There's not a list. The nuances there, exist from carrier to carrier. In addition to that, one thing I would add, Bob, is there are a number of exceptions to this case. And you can go ahead, I'm sure, anticipating what your next questions might be.
Yeah, I'm curious about those instances of the exceptions.
So certainly there are exceptions in very limited cases. The idea is that insurance ultimately is governed on a state-by-state level. As a result, certain states do have extra carve-outs, if you will, provisions. For example, the state of New York. Year-round, you literally can change from Medicare Advantage, into Medicare Supplement Medigap without underwriting questions, without restriction. That said, people might think, wow, that's great. The flip side is, of course, is that the premium is notably higher, almost double than compared to other locations for the same age, for the same health situation. There are other states as well, for example, Massachusetts, where you do have this right, but you have it within a specific window. And then, even then, on top of all of that, there can be instances under federal CMS rules, which governs all of Medicare, that do allow a special enrollment period into Medigap. For example, one of those could be if your employer, your prior employer who is providing retiree healthcare benefits, all of a sudden stops offering. You've involuntarily been ejected, and this has happened. It does open this special enrollment period to allow enrollment into Medigap without underwriting questions. Again, these are pretty deep in the weeds, deep in the minutia, but these exceptions do exist. I would say generally that the principle is all of these little nuances largely in the consumer's favor.
Right, and I think it sounds like it would behoove consumers to become a little bit more knowledgeable about what they can and can't do with respect to Medicare, given these exceptions.
Well, I'm probably one of the most biased people on the planet regarding that. So my clear answer is going to be yes. One thing I would say in this day where information and technology is so, seemingly available, is that the transparency, for example, on Medigap pricing is very elusive, very elusive. In other words, I've had persons approach us where they say, I have this understanding of the pricing structure. It is almost always inaccurate for one reason or another. As I stated, what happens is the pricing transparency is not readily available. And then in addition to that, there can be other household discounts. You're not sure whether or not the price quote that you've heard is precise enough. And for some people, This can make the entire difference. For example, a married couple, can that total difference be $500 a year running? Absolutely can be. So for people to really want to just type on a computer and think that they're going to get them the razor's edge answer, I would make the statement to say not necessarily the case.
Yeah. Jay, we just covered the tip of the iceberg in our conversations. I know that you, as the expert in Medicare, you have a number of resources that our viewers can access. You've got Jay's Corner, you've got your YouTube channel, you've got a Substack newsletter, and of course the book. Tell us just briefly a little bit more about how they can get more information about accessing your knowledge, your vast wealth of knowledge.
On Medicare specifically, maximizeyourmedicare.com is the website for the book. There are a number of not only resources about videos that I've made about Medicare, but in addition to that, I've also shared other resources from the CMS documents, information that will be helpful for someone who needs Medicare information generally. And of course, for me, Medicare is just a slice of a pie, a financial planning pie. Medicare is a very specific example of healthcare cost planning, which is a very, very important input on a household's overall financial planning, irrespective of age division. It just so happens that Medicare deals with the people over 65 generally. But then from that spot, there's a free newsletter. It's called Jay's Corner because, as I said, the insight on Medicare that we've shared, you've been so good to share, to distribute, is that it is one slice. It is not the only slice, and most importantly, is that these slices are interacting, that in ways that people are not well informed about, and is very costly. And when I mean very costly, this has errors in this area is a greater than $10,000 a year running error if not handled properly.
Well, Jay, as always, I want to thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us. It's so greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Bob, thank you so much.